Saw my baby's lifeless body. Oh my God! I screamed. I was shaking my baby. Tears were rolling down my eyes. After seeing I called my husband Tunde to get diapers and baby formula on his way back from work. After 3 hours without hearing from him, I called to remind him, but he wasn't picking up. I called over 25 times because he was supposed to be home by now, but he still didn't pick up. My mind was restless. I was so worried. I wondered what could make Tunde ignore my calls so many times. Or could Tunde be cheating on me? No, my husband will not cheat on me, and he doesn't stay out late. What could have happened to my dear husband? I kept wondering. Few minutes later, I heard someone banging on the door. Mrs. Adeyemi! Mrs. Adeyemi! She called. I checked through the window. What is it, please? I asked. Your husband! Your husband is being beaten by some angry mob. The owner of the shop he went to buy milk from accused him of stealing, so they beat him up. Come, the woman said. My heart immediately left my chest. I ran out, leaving my baby alone in the house, forgetting to lock the door. The only thing I remembered was calling the police to please come immediately. I ran without a bra on the streets where it was happening. Oh my God! My darling husband was naked and had fuel poured on him already. I hugged him. Kill me too! Kill me too! I screamed. How can a man who has over 100 million naira in his account be a thief? I said. What did my husband steal? I shouted. My wrapper fell off, leaving me in my top and tights. Kill me too, I said. They tried pushing me away. Madam, we will burn you, oh. You not go leave him. Leave him. He's a thief. We will burn you, oh. They shouted back at me. But I was willing to die alongside with my Tunde, because I know my husband is not a thief. I started shouting, please, what did he steal? What did the owner of the shop say my husband stole? I promise I will pay 100 times. Just let my husband go. One of the women noticed my fresh C-section scar, because I had just had a baby a week ago. And then she said, Madam, please leave that place. You know you just had a C-section. See, your scar is opening up. Leave that place, she said. But I didn't care. All I wanted was for them to leave my husband. One of the guys hit me with a piece of wood. That was when Tunde, my husband, begged me to go take care of our baby, saying that both of us couldn't die and leave the baby. I didn't even bother to leave him, but they started beating me too, and they pushed me away. Tunde was half dead when another guy poured more fuel on him. And unfortunately, they lit him up. Immediately, the police arrived and quenched the fire. Tunde's body was already burnt, including some part of his face. Some policemen took him to a nearby hospital immediately. While some of the people who beat him up and burnt him ran away, a few were arrested. What did he steal? The policeman asked. He stole milk from a shop, someone replied. Which shop and who owns it? The policeman asked. That woman's shop down there, Mama Rosa's shop, they pointed. Madam, let's go there, the police said. I entered the van and those who were arrested were pushed into the van as well. When we got there, it was my stepsister's shop. I was shocked to my bone marrow to see that it was my stepsister Amina who owns the shop that my husband was accused of stealing milk from. And I lamented, Ha, Amina, you wanted to kill my husband? How can you accuse your own in-law, your sister's husband, of stealing from you? And to even make matters worse, stealing milk. Amina. Hold on, madam. Do you know her? The policeman asked me. Yes, she's my stepsister. We are from the same mother but different fathers, I said. Okay, let's take it up from there then, the policeman said. Madam, you have to follow us to the station for proper questioning. The policeman directed Amina into the van too. Madam, can we stop by your place for you to wear something better? The policeman asked me. Yes, officer. My baby is alone too, I said as we all entered the police van. I got home and saw my baby's lifeless body. Oh my God! I screamed. I was shaking my baby. Tears were rolling down my eyes. After 6 years of waiting on God to finally bless me with a child, this is how the devil has stolen my joy, I said, crying. The policeman took the baby from me and checked. Madam, relax. This baby is alive. Let's get to the hospital immediately. We went straight to the hospital, and the nurse said my baby cried and choked when nobody was around. That was when I realized I left my baby alone for 6 hours. Don't worry, he will be fine, the nurse said, assuring me. Not long after, my sister whom I had called arrived at the hospital and looked after my baby while I proceeded with the others to the police station. I sat in the police van. My heart was racing. Tears were streaming down my face. I said, oh God, please help me. I can't afford to lose my husband and my baby on the same day. My stepsister Amina sat silently beside me, her face a mist of anger and fear. I couldn't believe she had accused Tunde of stealing. How could she betray our family like this? This is my sister. Is it because we are from different fathers? How could Amina do this to me? We arrived at the police station. The officers led us inside. The officer in charge, Inspector Chike, called us into his office and he said, Madam, can you explain how you know this woman? Pointing at Amina. She is my sister, I replied. My voice was shaking. Our mother remarried after my father passed away. We grew up together, but we've had our differences. Inspector Chike nodded. And why would she accuse your husband of stealing? I looked at Amina, hoping she would say something, but she remained silent. I don't know, I answered the officer. My voice was cracking. Maybe she holds some grudge against me or against our family. The inspector turned to Amina and asked her, Is this true? Amina finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. He looked suspicious. I thought he was stealing. I didn't recognize him at first, she said. Amina shook her head. It was dark and he was in a hurry. Inspector Chike sighed. We will need a full statement from you, madam, he said. He turned to Amina and said, You will be detained for now. As they took Amina away, I felt a pang of sadness in my heart for her. Despite everything, she was still my family. She is still my sister. But my priority was Tunde, my husband, and my baby. I needed them by my side. The next morning, I rushed to the hospital where Tunde was being treated. His condition was critical, but stable. The doctors allowed me to see him for a few minutes. His body was bandaged, and his face was barely recognizable. Tears welled up in my eyes as I held his hand. Tunde, it's me, I whispered. You are going to be okay. I'm here, and I won't leave you. And our baby will also be fine. His eyes fluttered and opened briefly, and he gave a faint nod. That small gesture gave me hope. The days that followed were a blur of police investigations, hospital visits, and caring for our baby who has already been discharged from the hospital. My family rallied around me, offering support and prayers. My neighbor, Nneka, was a rock, helping me with the baby and accompanying me to the hospital. Inspector Chike kept me informed about the investigation. We've identified several of the attackers, he said. They are facing charges of attempted murder and assault. And I asked about Amina. I was dreading the answer. And Inspector Chike responded, she's cooperating with the investigation, but her actions have serious consequences. I knew that I needed to be strong, not just for Tunde and our baby, but for myself. I couldn't let this injustice go unchallenged. Amina broke down in court, confessing that she had acted out of jealousy and resentment. I was angry at her, she admitted, pointing at me. I wanted to hurt her, she said. The judge sentenced Amina to 5 years imprisonment for incitement and false accusation. The others involved received varying sentences, depending on their level of involvement. Justice was served, but the victory felt hollow. Healing and moving forward, Tunde's recovery was slow but steady. The burns left scars, both physical and emotional. I regretted sending him out for formula and diaper that night, but thank God he was alive. One evening, as we sat on our veranda, Tunde turned to me. We need to forgive Amina, he said, softly, for our own peace. I nodded. Life is hard, he said, squeezing my hand, but we are stronger together. We have to move forward for us and our child. With time, the wounds began to heal. Years passed and our lives gradually returned to normal. Tunde started a foundation to support victims of mob justice, raising awareness about the dangers of false accusations and the importance of due process. One day, I received a letter from Amina. She had been released from prison and was seeking to rebuild her life. I am truly sorry for everything, she wrote. I hope one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you were entertained and you also learned a thing or two. My name is Onye of Onye Stories and Folktales. And please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button, turn on the notifications so when I post more interesting videos, you will get to see them. I do not take your support for granted. Thank you so very much. See you in my next video. Bye-bye.